It's the SKOR North Twin Show.
I'm just taking a stroll through SKOR North Twitter here.
Oh, boy.
Where the clip of Declan's hot take, one of the hottest takes, I think, in SKOR North Twin Show history, made its way to the internet yesterday, where Declan said, we were going through our 26-man playoff roster. We had our pencil sharpened. We're going through. We're trying to figure out who would we put on the Twins playoff roster, and Declan stopped the show to tell us, I wouldn't put Griffin Jax on there because he's lost 10 games and I don't trust him.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
He pitched a clean inning last night, right?
He did pitch a clean inning last night, yes.
In response to the
controversial
negativity.
take, yeah. Very controversial.
And I love how, too, they're like, you're using wins and losses. I'm not using wins. I'm using losses, which is an exclusive reliever statistic. Like, that does matter. Yes, I don't care. Like, Sonny Gray has, 6 wins in the year, and he's going to finish top 5 in Cy Young votes, not because of his win total necessarily. If you are a reliever and you have blown one in every 10% of time you're coming into the game, you are blowing the game. That's a significant reason to have trust issues.
Let me see here. How many times? Let's do the math here. Yeah, to your point about wins and losses, pitcher wins, anyone can pick up a win. Yeah, the rules are weird. You got to go at least 5. But if a reliever comes in and gets an out and then the inning ends, it's like, but not anyone can get a loss. A loss is specifically your fault. You are the one, especially if you're a reliever, right? You are the one that lost the game. So I'm going to defend Declan here a little bit. Yeah, Griffin Jax, 1 in every 7 times he has taken the mound so far this year, he has blown a game in some capacity. I'm putting him on the playoff roster, but I'm just defending your take here. Going through some of these comments is hilarious. And that's the last I need to listen to anything Declan says regarding baseball.
Good to know. They were listening before.
They're worked up this week, man. They are worked up between this and Kirk Cousins. Who are they mad?
It's not your playoff roster, Declan, thankfully. Dex, I respect your takes, man, but this one is woof with a gif of Kevin McAllister from Home Alone saying woof. So, spicy Twin show yesterday. I feel like people are on edge here because we're going into a Twins playoff. It's always a little edgy when you're going into Twins playoff season because they always stumble all over themselves. The Vikings are 0-3. You know, the Gophers gave up a 3-touchdown lead in the 4th. Everyone's like a little on edge right now.
And they especially don't like it when it gets real. So if things are going well, like if the Vikings are winning 13 games, there's very little to like you can call them lucky, but you're not picking on certain players, right? I feel like we don't like it when decisions and hashtag analysis gets real. Yeah. And so we start to get very defensive of players. It's a weird thing too. I don't know if some people, and just to be very clear, I don't think Twitter reflects our viewers or listeners. So I think they see what Declan puts out on socials, and I think that they react to it, but I don't think that means they're SKOR Northers. I think that just means they see it and rebel against it. But I finally tweeted a guy last night because he was, defending Kwesi. Kwesi was given a terrible team for the Vikings, and I finally said, he's not going to be your friend. Like Kwesi's not going to come to. Hey, who's there? Hey, it's Kwesi. I really appreciate your support. Thank you so much.
I was scrolling through Twitter, man, and I just had to shake your hand.
I've been looking for someone to push back on this Zuglad guy, and you did it. Congratulations. So it's this weird thing. It's like, and here's the other thing I don't get about Twitter too, to this point. Like the Griffin Jax thing is a conversation. He's on my playoff roster, but Declan brought up an interesting point.
Yeah.
And so it's an interesting point. So I find it very odd that people get totally defensive for Griffin Jax when the reality is this. You can pick apart anyone you want who has struggled, who has 10 defeats. That doesn't necessarily mean you hate the guy. It just means it's a fair conversation. It's a very fair conversation. He's lost 10 games, and early he's had 2 cycles because I said early in the season. Well, but then he got really good, and I just totally backed off. And then you came back with a knockout punch, which I love. But the reality is
a knockout punch take.
It's a conversation. I get where you're coming from. I don't agree, but that's fine. So.
No, I mean, I think it makes you think about, because this is part of the exercise of the 26-man roster that we did, and we did bullpen confidence rankings with Doogie last week on Minnesota Sports with Mackie and Judd, and it's more of an exercise in who are you confident in the seventh inning of a tie game, and you're trying to avoid 0-19, or you're trying to close out a playoff series. Where does Griffin Jax sort of fall in that trust tree? And I think we all agree that even though he might be the setup guy on paper, that now that Brock Stewart is back, and now that Chris Paddock is apparently throwing 99 miles, did I see that right? He touched 99 on the target field gun.
And I think that was the funny part too, the defending of Jack's like, oh, he can be the fifth or sixth guy in a bowl. Like that's where we're at here. He can be the fifth or sixth guy. Was it Mike Petrello? How do you pronounce his last name? MLB.com.
I think it's Petrello. Yeah,
Petrello,
Very
right?
good.
Yeah.
And he tweeted out last night that it may be too soon to ask of this from Paddock, but there's a version of this late season pen that includes Varland, Paddock, Stewart, Maeda, Pagan, Thielbar ahead of Duran. That's seven guys.
7 guys. Yeah.
That's 7 guys. And they could still fit in Griffin Jax into that equation too. But think about that. Those 7 guys.
And then the 3 starting pitchers. So there's 10. So he's essentially naming 10 pitchers before you get to Griffin Jax. So I stand with Declan here. Okay.
Yeah. Well, to me, it was a sports drug. Like, I didn't even think about Jax. And then Dex is like, hey, try this baseball drug. And then my mind opened up. It was like a baseball acid trip. And I'm like, oh my God.
Yeah, a baseball acid trip. Yeah, the other thing people are commenting on the clip that made its way to social is Judd's, where you can see Judd having the epiphany.
Yeah.
What? I had never thought of this. It's like we talk about this with Joey Gallo, right? When you're trying to lose 20 pounds and you're trying to avoid getting the snacky munchies at 9:00 at night, what's the best way to avoid putting 400 unnecessary calories in your body? Don't have a bag of Doritos in your pantry at 9:00 at night. Take it out of your house.
That's just, yes, I love
What's the best way to avoid the 11th loss by a reliever in a season in the second game of your wild card series? Don't even. He's not even available to you, right?
That's my Buxton point. I'm afraid Rocco will look at Buxton and be like, oh, yeah, Byron Buxton's active. Let's use him. And it would be like,
a little snacky.
Strikeout, bang, he gains 20 pounds back. By the way, I will say this. If you watch Chris Paddock's entire outing last night, I'm not so sure he's on my playoff roster.
Well, the second inning was rough.
Well, I'm just saying that, yeah. And that's Oakland, as checked out as possible. And 2, 99 is awesome. That's great. But I got to see this. I got to see what else.
Like secondary?
I've got to see way more secondary. And I've got to see more. There's got to be something else there. And look, he's just coming back. I just don't know yet.
But they're going to have to put, per our exercise yesterday, once you get, whether they keep 11 pitchers or 12 pitchers, the 10th and 11th pitcher or the 11th and 12th pitcher, you're going to have to take a flyer on a guy, either Bailey Ober, who's way past his career innings, or Chris Paddock, who's barely pitched in 2 years, trying to be a reliever for the first time, or Cody Funderburk, who's like been in the big leagues for what, a month and a half? You're going to have to make a concession, or Griffin Jax, who's got 10 losses. You're going to make a concession once you get to like 9, 10, 11, 12th reliever on the list here, or pitcher, I guess, on the list.
Yes. I think right now, until I see more from Paddock, actually, I think my concession is Ober probably. He's probably not.
You would put, if it was between Paddock and Ober, you would put Ober on before Paddock.
Right now. Yes. Now, if we see more in the next week, that could change. Sorry, Dex, go ahead.
It remains 26, right? Wild card into the division, into ALCS, into World Series. So it's the same number throughout all 4 rounds. Now you can reset it, right? Going into the round, you can trim or add any type of guy. So it's not like it's locked for all 4 rounds, but yeah.
But to Mike Petrello, right, from MLB.com, he had that tweet. I retweeted it last night too. It's like listing basically saying there is a universe here where all of these pitchers that throw gas, and Maeda as a reliever, we've talked about his track record with the Dodgers as a postseason bullpen guy, that all of these pitchers are healthy and come together. It's super interesting, man. Like, this is why I keep saying I think this team can do damage. There's a really wide variance of what this team could do. I mean, there's a wide variance in baseball playoffs anyways, but you could bring this 11, 12-man pitching staff into a playoff series. And at the bottom end of the results tree, you could have relievers that come in and walk everybody, or like Pagan could blow up, Jax could blow up, Paddock, hasn't pitched forever. But if all of these guys perform close to their peak capabilities, you have multiple dudes who are throwing in the upper 90s, big strikeout stuff. You've got Kenta Maeda with World Series pedigree from 4 or 5 years ago. And you have a lineup that if Carlos Correa comes back after, we finally got the tear in the plantar fasciitis, right? We're feeling pretty good here, and you get October Carlos Correa, and Royce Lewis comes back from the mild hamstring. I guess what I'm saying is the best version of this Twins roster going into next week is really scary. But how many times out of 10 can they tap into the best version of their potential?
And I am far more, just based on past history, far more concerned about the bats than the pitching. Like, the pitching I like. And, by the way, to go back to the last time the Astros and Twins matched up in the wild card round, the pitching was damn good. Mm-hmm. They got 2 great starts. They sabotaged themselves on that front, thanks to Baldelli and Falvey. But it, again, was the bats. I need to see them come out, and this is why I want Lewis to play so badly. My confidence barometer in the lineup skyrockets in a pressure situation with Royce Lewis either DHing or playing third base.
Yeah,
skyrockets.
Yeah. So we'll monitor his status throughout the weekend here. Twins have 5 regular season. You know what we need? I'm a big horror movie guy.
Yeah.
Judd, you don't really go to movies.
Spooky season.
Once in a while, but I don't go to horror movies. No.
And Declan, you're
I dabble in more of thriller, and I can do some horror. I'm not like the female version is called a scream queen, right? Like the people that continue to go that are like in horror films, actresses that are in horror films, like in so many different ones. I wouldn't say I'm a scream queen or king. Yeah, I'm not one of those, but I can dabble in a few. I like more thriller than actual blood and guts horror.
Okay, I like them all. I like thrillers. Where I'm going with this is I saw a preview earlier this week for a new Exorcist movie.
Yeah.
The Exorcist Believer, which comes out October 6th. This is not a paid promo, but I will have this. It's like I'll be like the first person at the theater on October 6th. My wife will stay 500 miles clear of this. I will just be going alone. And it got me thinking, like, all the angst this week about the Twins. People are fighting on the internet. People are going at Declan for his Griffin Jax take, and we need like a Twins playoff exorcism. We need to, and I think maybe we can just kind of do it on the show here, where if we were to, what are all the different figureheads of Twins playoff failure from the last almost 20 years, the 0-18 stretch? Can we put all of those figureheads in a figurative room here on the SKOR North Twin Show? Like Phil Cuzzy. Let's get them all in a room here, and let's have an exorcism. And let's just rid ourselves of all of this angst and all of the 0-18, all of the stress, all of the tension that's been built up for 2 generations of Twins fans, and go into next week free-minded. Who would we have to put in that room? Phil Cuzzy's number 1, right? For those of you younger Twins fans out there, the Twins are on the verge of taking control of a series against the Yankees, like 2000. Was that 2009? It was 2009. I'm pretty sure.
Yes.
Joe Mauer ropes a ball down the left field line at Yankee Stadium, and Phil Cuzzy staring right at it. He is the left field umpire. It's playoffs, right? You literally have like a left field umpire. Your only job is to call fair foul. Yep. Staring right at it, and the ball hits probably like a 1.5 feet inside the fair foul line. Bounces to the corner. Twins would have had a rally going. He calls it foul, and then the Twins go on to lose the game. It's like the 8th inning.
He's still working, too.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
He's still working too.
And a St. Paul guy. And from St. Paul. Yes, he's a Minnesota native.
He just ejected a guy. Did you see that? He had the plate, and someone from the dugout said, F you, and he said, F me, F you, and he tossed him.
Phil Cuzzy was born in New Jersey.
Who am I thinking of?
Tim Cheetah?
Tim Cheetah.
A big difference between Tim Cheetah, who was there for Joe Negro in '87 with the
wrong one
with the filing.
I believe Tim Cheetah,
Emery
I believe,
Ford.
still lives in like northern Minnesota. He still lives somewhere nearby.
I think he worked the last I
stories.
heard he was tending bar at Mancini's.
Okay,
spinning yards. I think Shooter had that.
There you go.
Hey, spinning yards. We had him on once, Dex. He was great.
Oh, he's a great storyteller.
He told all these stories about like TK and stuff and umpiring games in the Metrodome. That was a lot of fun.
Who else would we have to put in that room with Phil Cuzzy? Say, let's get everyone who represents a Twins playoff demon. Nick Punto for overrunning third base.
Yep.
That was also 2009.
I have
John Gordon freaked out.
I have Joe Nathan in extra innings.
Yeah.
Joe
and
Nathan
Alex Rodriguez, who's in town, by the way, sometimes, anyways, for hitting the 3-run homer off Joe Nathan, right?
Yes, and he has like a playoff ERA of like 9. Like Joe Nathan cost the Twins at least a couple playoff games. I have, if you guys remember this one, this is a sneaky one. Remember in 06 when Torrey Hunter dove for a ball and it turned into an inside the park home run?
Oakland, yep.
That's on there for me. That is 100% on there for me.
Mark Kotze, I think. Didn't Mark Kotze hit that ball?
Yeah. Another one I have like 5 written down here. Another one I have written down, Irvin Santana in 2017 after getting a 3-0 lead in the top of the first.
Oh, against the Yankees.
Yeah.
Against the Yankees.
Dozier homer.
They blitzed Luis Severino in that game.
In the first inning. Yep. And then I think Irvin Santana gave it right back in the bottom half.
Yeah, that's funny because I often don't even think of that game because that team was such a playoff surprise and it was a one and done. But yeah, he did. He coughed it back up quickly.
The first inning felt like, oh man, this team is different. They're going in here, no fear. Didn't Dozier hit the leadoff home run?
Yeah, he hit a 2-run bomb or something. Yeah, they went
but
back
you know
to
what
back,
else?
I think, or something.
So let's go also big picture here with Phil's interpretation of since 2004, game 1 against the Yankees at the stadium. This has been a nightmare. Like this has been a horror film. Do you know what else? It's the Twins' attitude of ignoring the fact that the call is coming inside the house. It's this streak isn't our problem.
I didn't build the house.
This streak, but I mean, it's the blonde who goes downstairs when she hears a noise instead of calling the cops. Like the Twins are just this. Oh yeah, we're in the playoffs now. That the old losses aren't our problem. It's like no, the streak is huge. You don't understand them, and they like go downstairs. They throw the door to the basement open. They go back downstairs, and then they get downstairs and they get knifed immediately.
It's like this house is haunted. Acknowledge that the house is haunted.
Yes.
Fix the problem. That's why Kyle Farmer is like, who's the guy? Dr. Loomis in the Halloween movies.
Oh yeah, Dr. Loomis. Yeah.
Right? He's if the famous actor, the bald guy. They would bring him in for for the first 2 Halloween movies. They literally would bring him in for a day of filming because they couldn't afford him for 2 weeks. And he was the one that was warning the entire town about Michael Myers. I've known Michael Myers for 20 years since he was a kid. I know what he's capable of. And everyone's like, it's Halloween, man. Why don't you lighten up? No, you're all going to die if you don't watch out for Michael Myers. Kyle Farmer is the one during the celebration at Target Field last Friday night. Champagne's flowing, and he's on the microphone. He's saying, I know about the 0-18. It's going to end this season, next week. Kyle Farmer is the only one, to my knowledge, publicly acknowledging that the 0-18 thing exists.
Although on the SKOR North airwaves in 2019, Phil got the president of the Twins, Dave St. Peter, to say it's time to slay the dragon. And then the dragon put a dagger right through the Twins.
Okay, so we need the dragon to be in the exorcism room for sure. Dave St. Peter riding the dragon
with the dragon
in the exorcism room.
I feel like they did not play in all the playoff games because of various injuries, but I feel like the duo of Morneau and Mauer as well, because in a lot of ways they represent the futility of that streak and how it started.
So I'll push back a little bit on that because in 2009, Morneau was out for all of September. He was out throughout all of 10 or the second half of 10.
Mauer was out in 2004.
Right, but they
Mauer was out in 2004.
But they represent just the failure, the expectations, what we thought should take place. I'm trying to look at this from the big picture standpoint of exorcism of years of futility, not just brought on by certain series, but they were there when it started.
It was the era, the Eminem Boys
Joe
era.
was there when it's exactly. Yeah. It's an era of just epic disappointment, and the fact that they couldn't play also part of the problem.
Yeah, I would argue though that it was honestly it's glass half empty because you only got to see them in 06 in a playoff run, and then 163 in 08, which you lost to the White Sox. Like you never got to see. Other than that, that's all you got from Mauro Morno in the playoffs. Like that's all it was.
That's the point. That's the point of this entire exercise. It's an exorcism of failure for any reason possible. The fact they didn't play, the fact
they were unavailable is sort of
they were the hope, and yet they couldn't play.
Well, to that point, Declan brings up 2006. I think if we could just put Francisco Liriano's torn ACL in that room, just his elbow.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just an arm in the room. Whose arm is that? Oh, it's just 2006 Francisco Liriano.
It's a Liriano UCL. Don't worry about it. It's fine.
And maybe we put some of the pitchers that shouldn't have been starting in playoff games in that room too. Like Boof Bonser probably needs to be in that room.
Well, yeah, and so I think Baldelli's negligence towards the streak does too, but so does Gardy's nervousness towards it.
Yeah, Gardy,
the jittery
Gardy for sure.
Yeah. The jittery Gardy. Hey, we're losing. Great third base coach, but when it came down to crunch time, playoff games,
he was a great regular season manager and a great manager of culture and egos and clubhouse.
Yep. But,
and then and he would argue, I'm sure, that we had less than rosters against all of those teams we played, like those Yankees teams, but to not at least win a game in some of those years is
fly in the ointment. 2006 though, that's where I would push back and say no. You know, if you want to say, well, the Yankees, then how do you explain? And I know that they had lost Francisco, but come on. The 1987 team won with two starters, basically.
Yeah, it's funny because the 06 Oakland A's team, obviously they were a good enough team to get to the playoffs and win 90 games or whatever it was. And they had some players. They had Frank Thomas still had some gas in the tank, but it was not the early 2000s A's that were Jason Giambi and Miguel Tejada and Eric Chavez, I believe, was on that 06 A's team, but it wasn't the same ammunition as they were bringing like 5 years before, and you got swept. So that's pretty crowded room there for the exorcism.
Another one would be Jorge Polanco's glove and arm in 2020.
Yeah, the miscue throw.
The miscue play at second. I'm putting that. I don't know if we can just put his glove in there. Maybe a glove and a hand. His glove and his hand go into the pool of this exorcism as well.
Yeah, I could see that one for sure. Veteran player. Hopefully he's learned from that mistake.
Well,
because they're probably going to play the Astros. Well, actually, the Astros lost last night to the Mariners, so they might play the Mariners. We'll see. And you won't be at shortstop.
Yes, that's the good thing. I do have ultimate faith that even if he doesn't come back and hit, if Correa plays, you're going to get really good shortstop play.
Yeah. Okay. All right. That's a good. Let us know in the YouTube comments section. Who are we missing here? It's a Twins 0-18 playoff futility exorcism, so we can move forward into next week, free-minded, get this team off the schneid. Maybe they can just bang bang win 2 games, rip the Band-Aid off, boom boom, win a series.
It's going to be at least 3 if they do win it.
But the problem is I know how we operate on the show. If they win the first game and then lose games 2 and 3, we will say, okay, the 0-18 is over. But now it's been 21 years since you won a playoff series, going back to the Oakland A's ALDS. So if you could just knock all of that out in one and just move past all of the early 2000s stuff.
You guys have been very clear, though, in saying that the point of this show is to win a playoff game. So are you guys going to push back a lot? I feel like I've tried to distance myself a bit so that I can come in off the top rope and slam them. But I mean, if they win a playoff game, the streak's over.
Yeah, but the next talking point pretty quickly will be, now, because we have to change the tagline of the show. We just want the Twins to win a playoff game before, before we die. Maybe we can just have Before I Die on all of our shows. But once they win a playoff game, if they don't then follow up by winning a playoff series, that's going to be the next milestone. I know how we work.
I know, but I'm saying, are you going to? So if they lose in 3, for instance, after the third loss, which would be Thursday, are you going to celebrate the fact that they won a playoff game, and then like on Friday or a week or the next Monday, turn your attention towards the playoff series, or are you immediately going to flip the switch?
I need to see how they would lose.
I like where you're going.
I will let it breathe. I think winning a playoff game deserves some time to live and to breathe. And okay, finally done with that whole thing, that historical longest North American postseason losing streak thing. But then depending on how it happens, there's going to be a lot of discussions about, okay, now what going forward? I don't know. Declan, is that fair?
Yeah, I think that's fair. I have been very adamant. Just win a playoff game, and I'm calling everything else gravy. Now, I understand that once they get a little taste, right? Once they get if they knock the monkey off,
and you won't be happy
in the first game, I probably might change my tune a bit in the moment. But as of right now, I was just talking to one of my best friends on the phone yesterday. The goal is not to win a playoff game. The goal is to win a World Series, which, yes, I agree with. But, dude, it's been 20 years. You and I were 11 years old. We're 30s. You have a kid. You have a wife. I have a fiance. Look at all these things that have happened in 18 years that haven't happened since the Twins last won a playoff game. Yeah. That's where my goal is. That's where my bar is right now. Playoff game.
I think they're gonna beat whoever they play in the first round. I think they're set up to maybe just win the first 2 games, maybe get an extra little day off before they prep for the ALDS. That's where I'm very, very confident in this Twins team right now.
I picked them at 19 and 20. No way. I'm not confident
just don't
in
pick
their bats.
I'm
not confident I'm not confident in their playoff bats at all until I see just an explosion of runs.
I think you will. I think you might see that in game 1. There's an explosion of electrical problems out there that Cody Finch is looking to solve one by one throughout the Metro.
That's right, because our guy, Cody from Finch Home Solutions, does an outstanding job. He and his team, I'm going to tell you right now, fast, efficient, courteous. They're fantastic. They've been into my house, and if Sports Dad allows you into his house, guess what? I'm going to tell you right now, 5-star, you should do the exact same thing. Any electrical issues that you have in your home, Finch Home Solutions is going to take care of them. And right now, sign up for the Finch Friends and Family Plan, 1 free electrical inspection a year. You get no dispatch fee, priority dispatch fee. So if you have a problem, when you call, guess what? You shoot right to the top of that list. Also, 10% discount on all work performed in your home, only $9.95 a month. Big or small, Finch Home Solutions can fix the problem. 612-357-2604 or finchhomesolutions.com. Don't DIY this. There are some things that you should try to DIY. Electrical is not one. So finchhomesolutions.com is where the problems get solved.
You said you can let Finch into your home. Mackie got to see me in a Twins playoff series 3 years ago. Does this mean you have to experience it now too, Judd? You have to let me in your house, I think, for a playoff game.
Wait, hold on a second. We've gone from I want to watch it with no one to my fiance might stay home to now, and the dog's going to stay home. And now you're going to be, okay. Well, wait, it's all home games, and I'm going to try and go. I was going to say, if the Twins play a road playoff game, you can come to my house.
Oh my God.
With Vinny.
Oh, with Vinny? I got to bring Vinny. That's kind of the piece off.
I got to see Vinny. Little Nutrisource, Stella and Vinny. Okay. Might get my guy Ryder here. Be a great time.
Okay.
Maybe this is a write that down prediction, because it's a parlay that the Twins will get to the American League Division Series.
Yeah. I love my dogs.
Also, before we get to the Immaculate Grid Challenge here, a shout out to our friends over at Power Lodge and Miller Marine. So Power Lodge is Minnesota's CF Moto Superstore. And since they buy more, you save more. Power Lodge can save you thousands on CF Moto off-road and side-by-sides. 4x4 starting at an unbelievable $45.99. So get ready for whatever the wilderness throws at you this fall as we hit into those crisp months. Power Lodge, with their several locations across the metro, Ramsey, Sauk Rapids, Anamia, St. Cloud, Brainerd, and then we've got Miller Marine in St. Cloud, I should say. PowerLodge.com to find out more information. All right, are you guys ready here for another Immaculate Grid Challenge?
Let's do it.
We'll put 8 minutes on the clock again, just for some framework, just to keep us from going too far over our recorded schedule. So we're looking to go 9 for 9 here, boys. That's how we become immaculate today. And to do that, we're looking for a Cardinal who was a Red Sox, a Cardinal who had 200 hits in a season, and a Cardinal who's in the Hall of Fame. Wow. We're looking for a Tiger who was a Red Sox, a Tiger who had 200 hits in the season, and a Tiger who's in the Hall of Fame, a Giant who was a Red Sox, a Giant with 200 hits, and a Giant in the Hall of Fame. And then we're looking for a Red Sox. I think we already did this, right? No, a Red Sox who was... Yeah, we covered all of this.
Yeah, you did.
We covered those.
Yep.
You can see the visual on the YouTube channel. For the audio audience, we'll do our best. All right, Judd, go ahead. You get 10 seconds to complain about the grid.
No, they don't listen. 200 plus hits in a season. Give me a break. The Hall of Fame's fine. Give me teams. Quit being lazy. Give me teams.
Okay.
No, you can go back and play old grids. Do you know that now?
I don't want to play old grids. I want the folks that do the grids to do their job and quit bailing out with
your 10
milestones.
seconds. Your 10 seconds, Rob. Okay. Stop bringing down the vibe.
All right, let's go.
We have heritage franchises here, boys. Like we have hundreds of years of history with Red Sox, Cardinals, Tigers, Giants. So 8 minutes on the clock. Here we go. Hall of Famers. I mean, Stan Musial for the Cardinals. Bob Gibson. Lou Brock.
Is there any Twins Hall of Famer that passed through those teams? Hall of Famer that played for the Twins that passed through those teams. It doesn't have to be solely like their induction. They just had to pass through.
Well, there's not a lot of...
Jack Morris would work, obviously, right? For Tigers.
Yep.
Yes, he would work. But let's hold on. I mean, Ty Cobb would work for that. Al Kaline is a Hall of Famer.
Yep.
Which one of those? We can hunt for a rarity score here a little bit.
I would say 200 hits in a season is hard to do in modern era, and I think we're going to have to go back for 200 hits for some of those guys.
What did we get wrong for
like for Stan
a couple weeks ago? There was
MVP. I think it was MVP, right?
Okay.
But who was the one? God, I just blanked. Who was the other old school Tiger that home run guy? Oh my God.
Oh, the catcher.
I've Hack Wilson's name in my head, but he was the Cub.
Yeah.
But Al Kaline is a Hall of Famer, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes, Al Kaline, Lou Brock, Bob Gibson, like you said.
Pudge.
Was it Hank Greenberg? Was that the other guy that I was?
That's right. Yes.
Okay.
Even Pudge would work.
Pudge is a Hall of Famer. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, so I don't know. You want to just which one of those guys? Like, let's say Lou Brock, Pudge, Ty Cobb, or who was the other one that we just brought up? Pudge,
Greenberg,
Ty Cobb,
Hank Greenberg.
I don't know if he's a Hall of Famer actually.
No, but that's who you just said.
Probably is.
So who's
Al Kaline's? Al Kaline's probably going to be the. But was Judd, was Al Kaline a Hall of Famer, or was he just a really good player?
No, he was a Hall of Famer, but I wonder if but wouldn't Pudge be the most surprising Tiger? Like, wouldn't that be the one?
Man, Declan, what do you think would Pudge be a high rarity score? We're going for rarity score here for the audience. So
I think Pudge would be lower than like Cobb and Kaline.
Okay.
I'm fine with it.
I don't know. It's probably 15% or something, whatever. Oh, 6%.
6%, yeah. Because I don't think people think of Pudge as a Tiger.
Okay, Cardinals, old school options would be, what we say, Lou Brock.
Yep.
Ozzie Smith.
Bob. Yep.
Rogers Hornsby was a Cardinal and a Cub.
That's right.
Back in the day.
That's right.
Rogers
Hornsby would be pretty rare, right? Right now,
like he's a 100-year-old.
That's
player.
what I'm saying. He's a great player, but it's a.
He also would be. You could use him for the 200 hits because he was a big. He was like, didn't he hit like 400 in a season? Pretty sure. So we could.
Ozzie Smith's interesting.
What if we used Hornsby for the 200 hit Cardinal?
Okay.
Because his thing was like he was batting average guy.
Oh, you know who's a great. I got a Cardinal for you, for the Hall of Fame. Jim Cott.
That's what I was.
There we go. Okay.
Yeah.
That's going to be low.
0.2%.
Bingo,
You son of a. You bastard. Okay, so for 200 hits in the season, Ozzie Smith wasn't a great hitter, but he may have made enough contact to get 200. I would say Hornsby's probably our. Probably our guy.
5.
5%. Okay.
Here we go.
Yeah.
Okay, we're working it. We're working it.
Wasn't Giants wasn't this on here? Like over the weekend we were texting about it. Didn't we have Giants Hall of Fame? The
maybe.
Giants were on a Saturday grid.
Well, we can start rattling off. I mean, Willie McCovey, Willie Mays.
Yeah,
Mays. Barry Bonds, no, actually.
No, Barry Bonds doesn't work.
Mays was the answer, I think, on the weekend that I saw. That's the one that I put in. But that's going to be, I mean, that's high still because he's such a legendary player.
I think Mays and McCovey are both going to be pretty high, right? I'm trying to think of other
and again,
guys.
There's no
Randy Johnson. Randy
Johnson's good. And there's no twin we can think of that's a Hall of Famer that stopped through the Giants. Like
who are the Twins Hall of Famers? Puckett, Cott,
Molitor, Winfield,
Carew did not. Killebrew obviously did not. No, I don't think there are any Giants.
Okay.
Did we go Randy Johnson here? Is he
Randy?
obscure enough?
Yeah. Yes.
You don't think of him as a Giant.
You don't think of him as Giant. Yes. I never think of him as
11%.
11.
That's not bad.
It's not terrible. Probably tells you there's actually not that many Giant Hall of Famers.
There's not.
No.
Okay, 200 hit Tigers. I mean, Ty Cobb.
There is a modern one. That's not Cabrera either, because that'll be high. Maglio Ordonez.
Okay.
He was a big batting average guy. He was a 300 hitter.
If you want a title, I'm pretty sure.
He was a 300 hitter for sure. I'm fairly confident that you're right on this. So
okay,
I trust him.
Yep.
Nice.
4%, dude.
4%.
Let's go.
Beautiful. Oh yeah.
Okay, Giants.
Will Clark get to 200, boys?
Will Clark was a 300 hitter. He might have been a career 300 hitter. He was a 300 hitter multiple times in the late 80s, early 90s. I'm just gonna write down Will Clark.
Bill Madlock ever get to 200?
Did Bobby Bonds? Bobby Bonds played for the Giants and California Angels, right?
Yeah, he played for
Did he go to the Giants?
He played for like 8 teams. I don't know if he got to 200 or not. I think he very well could have.
Did Bobby Thompson? Wasn't he the shot heard around the world? Was that Giants? Was that Giants?
Yes, but I don't know
if
kind
of
he
a guy
to 200
that
hits. No clue, and I don't. Yeah, I wouldn't count on that. Yeah, those New York Giants.
McCovey, Mays,
but Stretch McCovey
Clark
was a power guy.
Mm-hmm.
Like he was a big guy. I don't know that he was batting at. I don't know that he would be 200 hits.
Jeff Kent. Jeff Kent won an MVP in the Barry Bonds era. 300 hitter at one point. I would say either Will Clark or Jeff Kent would be.
I have more confidence in Will Clark, but you're probably right on Jeff Kent. I just don't remember it.
I do too, because hitters struck out a lot less in the 80s.
He was a magnificent hitter. I'll be shocked if he doesn't have 200.
Will Clark.
Will Clark. I'm with Judd. I stand with Judd. Come on. No! Dang it.
I'm shocked. I am shocked.
Kent didn't do it either.
Kent didn't do it either.
Son of a biscuit. Also, AJ Pierzynski works for 2 of these 3 squares, or 2 of these squares.
That is, oh my
God. Dude, Will Clark had 196 hits in 1989.
Oh my God. It happened to Jim Palmer again.
Oh man, that stinks.
Oh.
Bobby Bonds.
I can't do the shows anymore today.
I'm curious on McCovey. Willie McCovey.
Bobby Bonds didn't do it, damn it.
McCovey never did it. Willie Mays had to have, right?
Willie probably did it. So Bobby did it. Barry did it. Mays did it.
Dude, Willie Mays only did it once.
Wow.
1958.
Holy
cow.
God, we had a good thing going here too. Dang it. Man, that's brutal.
How many? So there were 15 guys in Giants history we could have chosen there. There's probably a couple obscure ones too.
Rich,
is it Rich Aurelia?
Yep, he did it.
Rich Aurelia.
Did Mel Ott do it?
No.
Okay.
So Aurelia, Bobby Bonds, Willie Mays, Don Mueller. After that, that's it. Of the first 4th from 1954. God. After that, there is a lot, but it's like 1936 on, like JoJo Moore, Bill Terry, Freddie Lindstrom. Like there's just, It's all New York Giants too. So only
I'm gonna tell you
three
right-
San Francisco Giants have ever done this.
I hate
Mel Ott
this
didn't.
category.
Mel Ott never did it, man. These are like legendary 300 hitters that never did it. Mel Ott was a 300 career hitter.
How did Will
20
Clark
years.
how did Will Clark not get to 200 one season? I mean, 196. That's ridiculous.
It's a lot of hits. But Rich Aurelia did it. Rich Aurelia is a good player, but it just sometimes it's if you strike out or walk too much,
Yeah, exactly.
it's going to take away from your hits. So, well, there's always tomorrow here on the SKOR North Twin Show.
Tomorrow.
We appreciate you guys. Hey, you can help us grow this thing here, which we relaunched this after a 2-year hiatus, the SKOR North Twin Show, after the All-Star break. And you can find it Apple, Spotify. If you could give us a 5-star rating and a positive review to help grow this thing, and then click that subscribe button on the SKOR North YouTube channel. And hopefully the exorcism exercise that we did today helps clear everyone's minds going into the Wild Card Series next week.